What's up, guys? It's Twisty, it's Toast, back for season 2. And you probably can't hear me because my microphone's over here, but now it's over here.
You're very loud now. Wait, maybe my volume's too high.
Is it we were watching this show yesterday called Miniature Wife, and the guy was talking normal and it was killing her because she was a miniature wife. Well, anyways, well, lessons learned. We were talking offline real quick before we started this. Lessons learned. I'll tell you what lessons learned is gratitude. I'm grateful for Jesus this week. I'm grateful for. Did you see the news about The Joint?
No.
They partnered with Honda. So your boy out here been telling you guys all this last year what's going to be the biggest thing that you got to be investing in.
Oh, right, yeah.
Corporate wellness. And guess who? They always come to the table and they just do it right, and they do it. You might not agree with their price. You might not agree with their walk-in principle, but again,
the roots back. It's like a root down approach.
But publicly traded chiropractic, partnering with corporate wellness.
It's now wellness chiropractic. That's the model.
Wellness, right. So, I don't agree with everything, but they get such poo-pooed on. Poo-pooed on. That doesn't count, right?
Because we're talking about lessons learned, so we got to let people know. We learned that.
Tristan's not going to swear on this show anymore, but he's got to show that he just is going to let it rip on. So you get your yin and your yang. We're going to keep this one safe, not for the kiddos.
You just got to remember, WWJD.
Yeah. On that note, how was your Easter?
It was good. It was pretty mellow.
Do you guys go to church?
No, we didn't. There's a church that Gilles' son goes to, and he watches that online. So I haven't found a church here that I like yet, honestly. But somebody told me about one the other day, and we're going to go check it out. So there's something about my dad that people don't know. But one, he used to love to buy his suits like black preachers in the 90s and still does. And he had a whole congregation of an African-American church in Syracuse, New York. And we were in and out of the church growing up, but that was my favorite church growing up that we would go to, because it was just so passionate and just loud, and it was crazy, and but now we go to it's a revival.
Now we go to a hipster. My wife is getting involved with Jesus, and I'm like, first of all, before I cut my hair, I look like Jesus, so you're already married to him. If you had to pick, why do you think you haven't found a church?
Oh,
because you're in the South. There's got to be a lot of different options.
To be honest, dude. I mean, church is different culturally speaking in the different parts of the country. You don't have
the hipster churches there with they're playing rock
church
music.
I heard about might be a hipster church. I don't know. For me, it's a vibe. It's an environment. I was really spoiled, I guess, when I came to Jesus or found Jesus or learned the love of Jesus. And, I've always had a desire to learn about religion. When I lived in Colorado, I had roommates. One was a Buddhist. Another guy was a devout Jewish person that was ultra into the Torah.
Yeah.
And the guy that became the Buddhist, he actually had gone to school to become a priest or whatever, and that's where he became a Buddhist. So it's always really cool to talk about religion, but I don't know, I was kind of an atheist, and it wasn't until I went to school, dude, that I was like, okay, I don't know, it's just the perfect event. But anyway, do
you think chiropractic opened you up more for Christianity, Jesus, and just even spiritual connection at all?
No. I think that, although don't get me wrong, I think there's certainly a metaphysical component to what's happening with chiropractic, obviously, because it's nervous system, it's energy. Energy has, electrons disappear sometimes in chemistry and then they just come back.
Yeah.
That's very metaphysical. No, honestly, it was the people that I met, right, that influenced me and I guess challenged me, asked me questions, showed me things, I suppose, and I was willing to go and look. And I went to this amazing church called Irving Bible Church in Dallas, Texas, just outside of Dallas there, because I went to Parker. Their priest, that was the main pastor, he had overcome stage 4 cancer. And I think that when people do something like that, and he had done it through prayer, but he was obviously touched, and he had such a beautiful message. And all he ever actually really talked about was the love of Jesus. He didn't tell you how not to live your life. and you're bad if you do certain things and all the things. And like, I don't know, it's also like this really nice amphitheater setting, but that's what I want to find again. I like the amphitheater, but I really like just like being told the story of love and gratitude, kindness, forgiveness, all those types of things versus like, oh, I mean, being in the South, there's a lot of talk about sin.
I think that we're going to get some comments on this one from people going, well, that's not what it's about. And I love how that's like the things that I get fed in my reels now, because we're all into this stuff, me and Kat, and I'm like, how you interpret the Bible. It's such an interesting thing. Like, well, that's not the real Bible. That's the other Bible.
Which translation? That was always one of my conflicts too, right? Like, you look at language.
Doesn't it sound something familiar to us, close to home though? Again, the key question of our existence is, what's chiropractic?
I get that. I got to add this though real quick, because I think it'll add to like this particular conversation also. The thing I also liked about this particular preacher or pastor, I should say, he wasn't like a preacher. He had a PhD in theology, and he was able to pick apart the language. And he's like, it was said like this, which literally mean this, and then it was translated to that, and then it took on this meaning. And I was just always like, man, it just meant so much more when you can see how meaning changed through language.
Yeah.
And you're right, we talk a lot about our language, our quote lexicon of the words that we use. And yeah, I think it's important just to be able to track the change, right?
Yeah. I got to jam with our mutual friend, Dr. Amanda Alphabet, yesterday, and we were talking about a little bit of the politics scene in ICA and IFCO and stuff like that. And it kind of reminds me, there's this section that's like, well, women can't be preachers or pastors or whatever, and that's what the Bible said. And I'm like, and you see the same arguments in chiropractic going on in groups today, like, well, that's not chiropractic, and this is what subluxation is, and this is the only way. And well, it is what it is. It's funny. I got to finally meet. Have you ever met Jeffrey Kroc?
I think so. I might have.
Name sound familiar?
No, I need to look him up.
Kronk.
I'm gonna feel bad if he's met me and he remembers me.
He's like the preeminent guy in personal injury for years.
Is he an attorney or
no? He's
doctor?
A chiropractor. He's a chiropractor. Is it CRONK? Hold on. I finally got to. I mean, he's been around for years. I would call him the preeminent, personal injury guy. I think there's Jeffrey Kronk, and it was
wrongs.
It was just such a wonderful meeting, because he has some really cool stuff that we're working on for Chiropractic Results, and we're going to jam on Monday and do a webinar and stuff like that. But I wanted to share this with you because, like, I was kind of preaching myself to him. I'm like, it drives me crazy that these chiropractors out there don't want to deal with personal injury. And I know it comes down to two things. It comes down to fear of looking. Everything always comes down to fear. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm afraid to ask for help.
That's ego.
That's ego. Okay. I'm afraid. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm afraid to ask for help. Or I've been told by other people that you shouldn't do this, because it's the same conversation we've had about insurance. And well, I don't want to be dictated by someone else by what my fees are. The reality in life is you're dictated by everyone's perceptions, judgments of everything, of what your fees are. There's right.
And everything.
Everything.
People judge you in 7 seconds.
Yes. So, but I said, what's amazing to me is the practices that I see that are what I would call have a healthy personal injury baseline also have a healthy family chiropractic baseline and have a healthy wellness-based baseline.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
you have to have a little bit of everything.
You get someone well, as my father would say, the hard part's not getting them well, it's keeping them well.
Man, let's write that part down. That's so simple. Shit.
The hard part's not getting them well, it's keeping them well. Why you wouldn't want to take on the sickest of the sick. And that's what I would call, like, someone who's been in a car accident, and this is what Dr. Kronk was talking about. He goes, you ask, whether it's chiropractors, neurosurgeons, orthopedic surgeons, whatever, what does a spinal injury look like? No one has the best answer
There
And
is
no,
no one best answer.
there's
How
no
many
best.
diagnosis codes are there for spine injury?
But what a real traumatic spine injury, right? Like it's like that's from a $5 million because he's like he said, he goes, if they're getting a $5 million settlement, they're pretty bad. Like so I've seen PI doctors that I've worked with who've had miracle cases, or they've created miracle cases, and it transcends into their family, and then the family, it transcends into the community. And so I just say to those docs out there, if you're not putting in the effort and time, and you're shy or scared, don't be. There's nothing to be afraid of. As we learned this week, there's nothing to be afraid of but God himself.
Huh. The only thing to fear is itself, right?
Right. Which is God. So, what's cooking for you? We're going to Cincinnati today. We got to go get,
Goody.
we got
How much fun? Is that a drive for you?
it's like a 2-hour drive. We got to go see a specialist for my wife. And
good times. Hope all is
as I
well.
say, if you have something, I was talking about this with another doc the other day who's got Lyme disease, and I said, you got to start sharing about this. You got to start, like, I think the personal branding of being what I used to call the shiny and clean chiropractor, with the beautiful wife and the 2 beautiful kids, and here's the website, and I got into chiropractic because I was an athlete in high school, and my mom got me to see a chiropractor. That story. Yeah, I love that story, and I love that you're beautiful and you're awesome, and you're so connected to the universe. But the reality of the people that you work with are the people of Walmart, and the people of Walmart are the people that are not well. And what we're finding now is, with chiropractic results and research-based conversations on AI and stuff, this backs up and validates what I've been thinking for years, but hypothesizing, but the data is backing it up. People want to go, the majority, it doesn't matter. I'm not talking about demographic of like low income, high income. People want to go where there's relatability, and, oh, you had this too? So, like, if you have something out there and chiropractic has helped you as a chiropractor, like, you got to start telling that story more. It's not a weakness. It's not something that you should shy away from. It's human, and you can help more people. I just, we're going. So, like, the reason I brought this up is the specialist we're going to see. My wife has, I'm not going to share this because she would never, there's rules.
We learned lessons.
We learned lessons. We learned lessons. Yeah.
Yay, Chloe. You're a big boy.
So, but I always told her, I said, in our world, the crazy chiropractic world that I grew up in, we wouldn't accept that. We wouldn't accept that this is the only option. I said, actually, what we got to look for is we got to find the doctor who's had this, because if they're a doctor and they've solved it, or they've had it. Because when doctors get sick, I don't care if you're a chiropractor or medical doctor. I've been around. I remember when my ex got colon cancer, the Harvard trained OBGYN, she got cancer. I mean, you want to look at someone going through research and options and how, like, every which way I'm going to deal with this. I mean, like a campaign. So we're going to Cincinnati today, and we're going to stay the night. And I'm also growing up because I have a right-hand assistant now named Alina. She's Russian, and she's awesome. And she can deal with me. I said that when we were doing the group interviews, the number one thing people asked was like, well, what makes this job bad? I go, me. So dealing with my brain and
I have my own problem. Aren't we all? Are we all our own problem?
Yeah.
Wherever you have a problem. I had a very successful client way back in the day before I was a chiropractor. And he's always like, whenever you have a problem, all you got to do is go and look in the mirror, and you'll see where it starts and where it ends.
What are you doing this weekend?
This weekend, I'm going to be chilling. I'm going to hang out with my friend Chris Eaton today. I was going to surprise you and be like, lessons learned. We have an interviewee, but it didn't work out with timing today. But I want to get her on. She's a chiropractic warrior, but just such an amazing soul. And she just is getting ready to put out a book. So I'm going to hang out with her today.
Well, let's get her on.
Yeah, it'll be amazing. And we're going to do that. And she's going to help me get a new refrigerator, sort of kind of like a mini one, and take the other one to the recycling place. I know, so much fun. I know. Getting ready in the end of May. We're going to go to Africa. In August, I'm going to Prague. So I'm super excited about that. Africa?
Is it a mission trip or is it
awesomeness.
it's just it's a no
It's
mission
going to
or?
be no, it's not a mission trip. It's going to be hanging out with friends and new people
That's cool, dude.
next to the, what is it? Siberian desert?
Let's go.
Siberian. One of Jill's friends invited us, so that's going to be exciting. And I'm going to go to Prague to finish up a certification I've been working on for many years now. I finally decided to bite the bullet and go over there. And
Is that Cairo related or outside Cairo related certification? Or bridge
I
both?
guess it's outside of Cairo, but it definitely applies because the founding principle of this approach, I don't really want to call it a therapeutic approach, but I use it. It's about axial postural stabilization, but it's all neurologically based, and it's all based on innate intelligence. The innate intelligence of a baby's
Why are you getting this? I mean, with jaded question,
I don't
but
know,
why?
because I've already been, I've taken all the classes. It's a great class. It's been game changing for my patients and myself as far as like long-term chronic things. And, I mean, why not? You've put all this work into it if that's the thing you got to do. And plus somebody else I know that's been in my classes is going to be there also. And my favorite teacher is going to be there for a few days. So it's helpful to have people that you know when you're traveling abroad.
So this sounds like a bridge into mental wellness, right? Am I wrong or?
No, isn't all healthcare bridge into mental wellness?
You answered the question I was going to ask, right? Like it was like this again goes into the Dewey Decimal System of chiropractic, and I was going to say, when we're talking at the start about corporate wellness, one of the entry points is obviously burnout, stress, just employee optimization, and a lot of the EAP programs, the employee assistance programs, are geared towards mental wellness. And I remember one of the chiropractic assistants who was doing calls. I had them doing calls to the EAP programs around, and she writes me back an email going, everything is mental health. And I go right back, just a one word email.
That's trauma's toxins.
Right. So if the corporate wellness world is going, look, what we care about on the front level is mental wellness, and psychiatry is a recession proof industry. And we haven't yet, this is my problem with chiropractic results. And I'm really grateful for Austin Cohen and the integration we're doing with Chiro 180 and his spinal health scores. I still don't think we found what our actual, what's our smile rating? What is the ultimate indicator of like, and maybe we'll never figure it out. Everyone's upset with me about, no, they're not upset with me. I'm trying to bait people here, but they're not upset with me about learning. See, I really want to bait people with this, but no one's really upset. But there's a lot of people that come in and going, no, well, here's what you should do. And I'm like, well, I got to keep chiropractic results simple. It's got to be simple for the bots. And I keep thinking of David Fletcher here's a learning like who's yet to reach out to me and say, hey, I appreciate your feedback for a thing I did with Stephanie Libs. So I don't know where we land, but I still love and respect David Fletcher. And I love that he talked about dentists and like they're in the smile business.
We are in, dare I say, the O-face business.
Learning, Melba.
The chiro.
I can't go down that rabbit hole with you here. We're in the, so if we bring this back to, you just talked about going to church and what you're like, are we ultimately in the love business? I mean, is that too cliche to say then? Are we in the, because then what is love? Like, we're not talking romantic love, but what is love, right? Like, what is love passed on to brothers and sisters? I love you. I care for you. And this gets into that whole old school, Parker stuff, LL as has been imparted on you and imparted on me as I grew up, right? And we're learning.
Tell our viewers what LLL means. Living, last, loving.
Lather, love, love lavishly, and learn.
It's a good one. I didn't remember that one.
Yeah. I mean, to think, Jim Parker was his own little Jesus in a way. I mean, you think of Jesus as like,
without any hair.
What? Not here?
Without any hair.
But like he was like it was a little homely, like he was not a good looking man, but he, from a standpoint of like, what looks would be perceived as, and he had a very, Southern kind of grinding voice, but you could just listen to him for hours at the same time. And he had this presence and charisma and, I remember people telling me the last couple of years that he was alive that they walked past. He'd be the last one out, like a college football coach, first one in the morning, last one out. And I just have such respect for that tenacity and hustle. But the messages that he had were so impactful.
I know. I mean, check it out. My husband spent a good majority of his entire youth chiropractic life, like
It built him.
being in those hours with
Yeah.
Jim. You know what I mean? And like talk about somebody who definitely lives that approach, those principles to that
I see it
level.
in his social postings, and my dad's too. Not that you want them to get away from it. I think that we need to lean into it more. I wish we had
I
more of that.
agree.
I wish we had more of that back, and there was
That
more.
love, right?
Yeah, more of that. And that goes back to what you're talking about going to church. And that's what I think for a lot of people felt like when Sid and Jim were around at Life and at Parker. That's probably like, unfortunately, I think we're missing some of the good pastors and preachers in our profession now. This went everywhere. But I got to go to.
You're right. I'm not going to disagree with you. However, I'm going to say this. Just like the modern day pastor preacher in the church has evolved how to give their message, but give the same message, I think that what we need to figure out is that. Because I feel like sometimes some of the messages are still archaic. Like we've heard it
Yeah.
all. We need to say the same message, but somehow say it differently so that it's not like, oh my
Yeah.
God, they're telling me, you know what I mean? And like pounding it on to you. Oh, all we got to do is tell the story. And it's like, it's true. Stories do sell.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I don't know. And I don't know the answer to that. It's not like I'm sitting here saying I know all the solutions. I'm just saying this is something I've noticed.
Well, let's invite anyone out there who's listening who says, hey, I do have some answers for you. If you want to come on and jam with me and Melba, it'll be a safe, free zone for you. We're not going to talk about certain things because we are learning. We're going to LLL it up over here. LL it up. Hey, you guys go have a great weekend. Melba, good to see you again, hon. We'll jam next week, same bad time, same bad channel. Peace out, guys.
Bye.